This week on Clip Service, guys, we've done it. We made it to the end of the regular season. The Clippers are your fourth seed, and they will be taking on Luka Doncic and Luka Doncic, Kyrie Irving, and the Dallas Mavericks, who are the fifth seed. And this will be the third matchup between these two teams in the last 5 years, 4 years. So yeah, there's a lot to unpack here. A lot to be a little nervous about and a lot to be very excited about. We're going to talk a little bit about the other playoff matchups throughout the league, some Kawhi talk, and then just like the last couple games that we saw of the regular season, some fun stuff. A lot of it was kind of junk games, but some really fun stuff to talk about. So all of that and more coming up. So without further ado, let's make it happen.
What's up, Clipper Nation? And welcome to the Clip Service Podcast. Make sure you find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Deezer, Amazon Music, YouTube, and we're also on Twitter and Instagram at Clip Service Pod. I'm Rolla. This is my co-host Nick. And today, the great Connor Bell is finally back.
He's finally back, guys.
After being
back. Man of the hour.
Yeah, he was so scared of the fans, bro, but he decided to...
Yeah, he's a little shy.
Back, bro. They always come crawling back, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, here he is.
No, it feels good. It feels good to be back, Clipper Nation. You know, it took a long absence, but, here I am.
Came out of retirement.
Yes, sir.
All right, guys. Well, let's just jump in real quick because we do have a lot to talk about in terms of this impending impending. That's the right word. Impending matchup between the Clippers and the Dallas Mavericks. But I really quickly wanted to talk about the last four games that we saw before the regular season ended. The Clippers finish, first of all, above 51 again, which is great. The first in the Pacific Division. After having a really, really rough couple months, the Clippers managed to string together some good games and, finish at plus 50 for the season, 51-31, first in the Pacific Division, which I can't remember the last time we finished first in the Pacific Division, so that's awesome. So the Clippers should give themselves a pat on the back for that. I know that divisions don't really matter too much anymore, but it's cool to see. It's cool to see. Pac Div love. But yeah, the first of these four games was a 105-92 win against the Phoenix Suns. It was the first game of a back-to-back against this Phoenix team who was really playing for, a lot was on the line for the Phoenix Suns. There wasn't a ton on the line for the Clippers. I think that this game still had some seeding implications, but very little. I think all we had to do was win one of the next three at this point. I think it was 3 or 4. Yeah, something like that. But basically, this was a well-rounded game. I would say wasn't anything too crazy, but Paul George with 23. All the starters finished double digits. So Zoo with 17, Westbrook with 16, Terrence with 17, which is awesome to see. Chipped in with 10 rebounds. Norman Powell with 10. Norman did get the start. Obviously, as far as most of you guys know, Kawhi Leonard has missed some time. We'll talk about that a little later, but obviously he didn't play in this one. Didn't play any of the last four games of the season with that knee soreness. But yeah, I mean, this one was a fun one, and we kind of stomped the shit out of the stomped the shit out of the Suns early on. I can't remember what the score was, but it was something crazy.
35-5.
Yeah, 35-5. Everybody
35-4.
35-4 with like a couple minutes left in the fourth. And yeah, this one was kind of a massacre. The Suns, this one did get a little closer than I would have liked. I think down the stretch, the Suns cut a 30 plus lead down to 7, which was kind of scary just in terms of process, keeping good process. This is not something you want to see,
Mm.
but the Clippers were able to hang on and get this win. And the Suns, particularly in the first half, just looked completely dejected. Yeah, it was a bad game for the Suns. Their leading scorer was Kevin Durant with 21, but the efficiency was not there. 8 for 22 from Kevin Durant. Devin Booker, 1 for 11. He hit one field
Uh,
goal, played 40 minutes, talked a bunch of shit, I'm sure.
Classic.
So this was a great way to handle business. Obviously, we let the lead slip late, which was not good, but we got the win, and this late in the season, that's all that really matters. What did you guys have anything to take away from
Yeah,
this one?
yeah. I thought I thought it was an amazing game. The us losing the lead at the end didn't really. It wasn't really. I didn't really care too much about it as long as we got the win, but I think it was mainly because we started playing so much of our bench unit and
We
we got
did.
so deep into the
We did.
bench
And
that
this wasn't a
I
good game
mean,
from Bones,
yeah.
particularly. He kind of
Thing is
sold.
these guys playing against Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal. I mean, it is what it is. Like we lose a lead, it is what it is. But I think if we had that starting unit, we played our normal rotations, this would have been a blowout, 30 points. I think.
Yeah. Yeah, you're probably right.
Overall, it was a fantastic game from everyone on
That
the
first
squad.
quarter was like,
first quarter, first half.
dude,
That was crazy.
I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it.
I could, bro. Thing about the Suns is they were quite literally the worst matchup for them. Like, because we have the tools to completely shut down Devin Booker, and this entire team flows through him. So once Devin Booker was shut out, I mean, 1 of 11, the entire team is finished basically. I mean, Kevin Durant's gonna get his, but
Put a fork in that point because there's something that kind of reminds me a little bit of this upcoming matchup against the Mavericks that I want to talk about in relation to this Suns team. But Connor, you have anything from this one?
No, just other than our boy Ricky texting us, he was at the game.
Ricky was at the game.
Saying like, "Oh, this is really embarrassing." Just
yeah,
I didn't even watch the game. I didn't get a chance to, but yeah, according to him, just watching it live, it was just a total blowout, and
it was.
But a dominant win for the Clippers. So
yeah, totally.
Yeah.
The Clippers went on to play the Suns the next game, as I mentioned before. This was one that the Phoenix Suns won, 124 to 108. But at this point, I think the seeding was kind of in the bag.
Yeah.
And I think it was because the Mavericks had lost to the Pistons at this point or something like that. I can't remember.
No. We still had to win. I think we had to lose 3.
You're right.
For them to surpass us, and we just needed to win one more game.
And this one, none of the starters aside from T-Man played in this one. Russ, Norm, obviously Kawhi, PG, and Harden, they all rested. So our starting lineup in this one was Amir Coffey, Terrence Mann, Bones Highland, Mason Plumlee, and PJ Tucker. A lineup that you will quite literally probably never see throughout the rest of Clipper history. But yeah, I think the standout in this one, got to give a big shout out to Mr. Bones Highland in this one. Had a career high, if not definitely a season high, 37 points. Bones was locked in this one, played 43 minutes. Bones has been kind of up and down this season. I'm a big believer in Bones, still am. But I'd be lying if I said that there weren't times this season where I wasn't disappointed in Bones a little bit. When Russ went down, he had that great game where he had 11 steals or a shit ton of steals. Oh no, assists and like 5 steals or something like that. Had a great game, and I thought, okay, like this is a great opportunity for Bones to really show that he has a place on this team, show that he has a place in the playoff rotation, and then he kind of just the body language was bad. He was definitely down on himself, and we couldn't really count on him to fill that role. And I was pretty disappointed in moments like that with Bones. But this was a good game for Bones to just kind of get his swagger back. Obviously, he's a big time rhythm player. He needs to kind of get some reps to be at his max potential. And we obviously saw that he was hitting threes. He was getting steals. Had 3 steals for the game. Getting out in transition, he just looked great. And I think the Clippers led this one for a couple minutes by about 5 or 6. and you could see it on the Suns' face. There was a replay that they showed on the broadcast where Bradley Beal was taking the ball at the floor and kind of like surveying the sets that they were running, getting into their half court offense. Bradley Beal was just shaking his head, rolling his eyes.
Yeah.
Like, they could tell, like, are we about to lose this game?
Yeah.
Obviously, they pulled through and won. All of their starters played. Um, but yeah, this was just a fun one to see. Obviously, at this point, it would have been nice to get the win, but it's better to give our stars some rest, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Bones Highland is pretty much the talking point in this one. I thought it was
Yeah.
great to see him go for
Um,
37.
I think it was a career high for him, and he went off. And at the end of the game, he was really trying to get that 40.
That's right.
The 40 points.
That's right. He had 3 attempts at it. He tried for 3 threes. The third one got blocked.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? Another person that I wanted to talk about in this one, and I'm probably a bigger fan of this guy than I am of Bones, just because of the fact that we drafted him. He's got better size. He kind of understands his role a little bit more. But shouts out to BBJ, dude. Brandon Boston with 23 points. Um, he's kind of up and down. I know there's a lot of people that kind of talk smack on BBJ throughout, the Clipper fandom. Have kind of given up
Yeah.
on him, but I'm still, personally, I'm a huge proponent of BBJ minutes. Obviously, not really in the playoffs, but I think that there's a player there, and moving forward, I really think that he can be a piece. Coming off the bench, he's got great size. I think he's like 6'7", 6'6". Big guard. He's confident. His defense has become a lot better. His decision making has become a lot better. He's still got to be able to kind of make defenses pay when he gets the open looks. But this was a great game from BBJ, and what made me bring him up was on that last 30 seconds where Bones was trying to go for the three. Bones or BBJ was crashing the glass to try and get an offensive rebound to give Bones more chances to get to his 40 points. And, even though it's like it's a, microcosm of BBJ's career, like that kind of thing shows like him trying to support his other teammates and,
Right.
do the little things to get his teammates involved. It just shows kind of like a growth in his game. And, I'm a big fan of Brandon Boston, and like I said, I think there's a player there, and 23 points is nothing to scoff at.
No. Yeah.
He had a good game.
He went. Yeah. I think he was the second high scorer, right?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah. He played amazing. In Paul George's and James Harden and Kawhi's absence. But yeah, overall a good game. Nothing like you said. Nothing to sneeze at.
Yep, totally. And wait, okay,
What about the
so
other games throughout the week, like Utah?
well, yeah. So at this point, I believe we had secured our position as a 4 seed because the Detroit Pistons, shout out Detroit, beat the Mavs, who had rested a lot of their guys in the second half.
Yeah.
So at this point, the seeding was already set. The Clippers lose by 1 point to the Utah Jazz. This one was a little boring. I'm not gonna lie.
I honestly didn't watch.
Yeah, this
I didn't
one.
watch
This
this
one.
one. I mean, the
This
seed
one
was
was
already
okay.
done.
Paul George played 8 minutes. Zoo played 10. James
Yeah.
played 10. Terrence played 5. It was writing was on the wall as far as our seeding. We were already secured. Not really any standout performances from anybody on either side, other than Kenny Lofton Jr. had a really good game, 27 points, 10 for 16 from the field. The dude can play. Obviously, I think he's a very interesting archetype, like being just he's a bigger boy. He's not particularly tall. He's probably like a traditional 4. But yeah, it was good to see him, have a good game. I think that there's a place for him on their roster. If not on their roster, then on another roster coming off the bench, third string minutes. But yeah, this one was whatever. Clippers take the loss, 110-109. The game that I wanted to talk about was this last game of the season, and the last regular season game at Staples Center at Crypto. And I was telling Roland Connor earlier before we started the show, the Clippers' history is pockmarked with unfortunate collapses and, tragedy, and there's a lot of
Racism.
negative things. What's that?
Racism.
Racism, definitely plenty
Yeah, I
of
feel
that.
that one.
Fuck Donald Sterling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But and that ties into what I'm about to talk about. But there's a lot of negative things throughout the history of the Clippers. But this it was fan appreciation night for those that didn't know, and a bunch of Clipper alums came through. They took a big picture at half court during halftime. Lou Williams was there. The Knuckleheads came through. Lamar Odom, Darius Miles, Quentin Richardson, Darren Collison came through. I can't remember who else was there. But yeah, Baron Davis was there. It was really cool. It was a really cool moment, I think, especially going into the Intuit Dome next season and just kind of like a farewell game. And Steve Ballmer, which ties into Rola's comment, it is so refreshing to have an owner that cares, an owner that is not
Yeah.
a terrible human being, a racist piece of shit. And Steve Ballmer picked up the tab for all the Clipper fans that came. Free food, free drinks. Obviously, that's chump change to a guy that has the net worth of
60
Steve Ballmer.
billion.
Yeah, but it was really cool, and it was just
Yeah.
kind of like a nice little snapshot to how long or how far this franchise has come.
Yeah.
And they did a little tribute video that showed little snippets of moments throughout Clipper history the last 24 years. And it was honestly, I got emotional watching it because this franchise and this fan base, and we've come a long way, and to see guys like Lou, who's I think his jersey needs to be retired at some point. Guys come through and show love and show that they're appreciative to be a part of this history of this franchise. It was really awesome to see. And
Yeah.
yeah, it was a cool game. I'll let you guys give your thoughts on the game, but I wanted to talk about the last I think 2 minutes of the game it was probably like the silliest 2 minutes of Clipper
Yeah.
basketball I've seen in a long time. And it was awesome, dude. So basically Boban played the fourth quarter. The game was kind of already decided. The Rockets put Boban in. Clipper legend, love that guy. Boban checks in the game. He gets sent to the free throw line, misses the first one. And obviously, as most of you guys know, if the opposing team misses two free throws in the fourth quarter, the entire stadium gets chicken. So Boban goes to the free throw line, misses the first one, points to the crowd, says, "I got you." Purposely misses the second one, gives a little wave to the crowd, gives everybody free chicken. And then on the other side of the ball, the game was so over and so inconsequential that Mason Plumlee took a three. Ball gets wedged in between the rim and the backboard. Jump ball at center court. Rockets send Boban. The Clippers send Xavier Moon, who is far and away the shortest guy in the court. Xavier Moon wins the jump ball. It was just silly and fun, and it was a really cool way to end the tenure at a special building.
Yeah.
Obviously it's the Lakers. The Staples Center is known as the Lakers Stadium. It always will be. But the Clippers have had some amazing moments in that building, and it's a bittersweet moment.
Yeah, I agree. But I have to mention this. Um, I I was talking about it with you and Connor earlier before the show. Um, I don't think any of this comes without Blake Griffin,
Dude, yes.
who mentioned his retirement the other day.
Mm-hmm.
It's been an emotional week. I honestly,
No,
someone posted a tribute video to Blake,
Yeah.
and like Blake, he's had his ups and downs, but I got emotional watching that too.
yeah,
Like,
I think everything with the Clippers today all stems back to Blake Griffin.
Mm-hmm.
I think I think the Clippers aren't in LA today if Blake Griffin was never a Clipper. I
true.
think he completely changed everything for this city and for this
Yeah.
team,
Mm-hmm.
and brought so many fans to not only the Clippers but to Los Angeles. And I think that he needs to have his jersey retired. He needs to be the first jersey retired in the new arena. And I can't thank Blake Griffin enough for everything he did for us. Even though
Totally.
he had his downs, I think he gave the Clippers a lot of ups, and he started the Lob City era. He like I said, he brought so many fans, and they call them bandwagon fans, but you need bandwagon fans to
our
start as
team,
fan
Yeah.
base.
our franchise needed it, man. Like our
Yeah,
owner didn't care. Like our
he didn't
owner,
care at all.
we had a chance to be. A lot of people don't know this. We had a chance to be the number one tenant when Staples Center opened, but Donald Sterling gave a lowball offer, and the Lakers, took advantage, and the rest is history. And
Yeah.
Mhm.
you know, it bandwagon fans or not, Blake Griffin brought attention to the team. Obviously, if you look back, it really, the popularity, it was much smaller scale. The popularity started with the knuckleheads, Darius Miles and Quentin Richardson and Lamar Odom, Corey Maggette. But obviously, Blake Griffin took it to the
Yeah,
stratosphere.
new
And I
heights.
remember
Dunk
watching,
contest,
yeah,
alley oops, dunking, like the high flying and everything. That's people came to Clippers games to see a show. And
Yeah.
previously, I mean, we were giving out free tickets to fill up the seats. And
Yeah.
now like people were actively going to watch Blake Griffin. Then Chris Paul came, then DeAndre Jordan, and I think that it all stems from Blake Griffin. I don't think the team is
totally.
anywhere. I don't think Kawhi, Paul George, James Harden, Lou Will, Patrick Beverly, all these players don't come to LA without Blake Griffin,
Well, that's
and
the
aren't
beauty.
happy to be a Clipper without Blake Griffin
Of course,
starting.
dude. That's the beauty of that's the beautiful side of this Clipper history is, it like through all the unfortunate moments and stuff like that, we can say that most of most Clipper fans, I was watching Clipper basketball before Lob City, but really Blake Griffin took my fandom to a whole new level because it was exciting, it was
Mm-hmm.
palatable. I was young, and it's exciting. There was like an energy in the building when you would see Blake Griffin get into a fast break, right?
Yeah.
And you knew that something exciting was going to happen. And Connor, you started really getting into the Clippers around that era too, the Lob City era, and I'm sure you can speak on that too. Like the excitement that Blake Griffin and DeAndre Jordan and Chris Paul brought. We had our downfalls and we would always come up short, but it was exciting and it was fun, and
Mm,
he was the greatest show in basketball for a long time.
for real.
Yeah. I honestly think it had a huge impact on the whole game itself. I think it really also changed how other teams played and wanting to bring that excitement and energy into the game as well. And all it takes is just a really, a good owner, one that really cares. And we have that in Steve Ballmer as well. I know he was later than Lob City, but still, I'm
He
just
was like
talking
the
about
tail
him.
end. Ballmer
Yeah,
came
yeah,
at the
yeah.
tail end of Lob City, but
Right. But yeah, no, but Blake has such a huge impact on, the Clipper Nation and the Clippers itself. And yeah, it's sad to see him retire, but it's his time and hopefully he
Yeah,
enjoys his retirement. He
I'm
deserves
he
it.
sure he
will.
will. He's a
He
funny
will.
dude. He's locked into acting and comedy and stuff like that. He'll get into new things. But yeah, shouts out Blake Griffin. But yeah, I think that really pretty much does it for the end of the regular season talk.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's all about playoffs, guys. That's
Whoop,
pretty
whoop,
much going to
whoop.
be the
Sir.
focus from here on out until hopefully until the Clippers win a championship this season. So. Um, a couple things that I wanted to talk about in terms of what's going on in playoff basketball, real quick. It came out, I think, about a little less than a week ago. The Clippers signed a guy that a lot of Clipper Nation has been talking about signing or talking about, taking a flyer on or whatever. But Kai Jones signs with the Clippers on a multi-year deal. I think he's in his early 20s, so bringing in a guy that's got some youth, some
Mm-hmm.
athleticism. He fills a position of need. The Clippers did waive Josh Primo, and obviously Josh Primo has a
Wave.
little bit of a history. I'm not going to get into that. Made
We
some
flashed
horrible,
him away.
yeah, they flashed him away. Um,
Oh,
but
jeez.
at the end of the day, like his sign, I understand the Clippers taking a flyer on young guys that have potential. But Josh Primo didn't, aside from the bullshit that he got into, early on in his career, like he didn't fill a position of need. He's a guard. We have a
Right.
ton of guards, and
Yeah.
the Clippers have a switchable, in theory, a switchable big man that can run in transition. Obviously, for those that don't know, Kai Jones was released by the Hornets because of some mental health issues. He needed to seek some treatment. for just some personal stuff going on. But in the press conferences that I've heard from him so far, it looks like he's really taking therapy seriously. And I don't know if he's going to get a ton of playoff minutes, if any, in this run. But I think it's cool going forward. We have a guy that fills a position of need, and he's young. With what we've seen from Mason Plumlee this season, I don't imagine that he's going to be back next year. We'll see. But we have a guy that can slot into that sort of role. And he's young and he's got potential. Kai Jones is extremely talented. And so I'm excited about that.
Yeah, he's very athletic. Connor, I don't know if you wanted to speak on like the mental health side of things.
Yes, for those of you who don't know, Connor Bell, that is his area of expertise. So let's hear it, Connor.
Well, I listened to the interview that he had with right when he joined the team, and he just seemed very calm and collected. Nothing we didn't expect. But I was kind of surprised by it, just seeing his former tweets when he was a Hornet. There was definitely a lot going on in his head, and we don't know the full scoop of it all. I think it's unfortunate. The Hornets didn't really help him out in terms of getting him therapy.
It's kind of messed up.
That
organization's a dumpster fire right now.
Yeah, they're trash. They're
right.
trash.
And I mean, we've seen it with Draymond Green getting the therapy, even though we already talked about that before. It was 3.5 weeks.
It didn't fucking work. I'll tell you that much.
He didn't really do anything. But Kai Jones has been in therapy for quite some time. He's even said it, and even during his interview, he's like, I don't know if I'm even allowed to say it, but therapy has actually helped me, and I'm continuing to do it. And I even want to while I'm a Clipper. So I hope he's just getting the help he needs. He seems a lot more confident and just ready to play basketball, and then that's the player we need on our team. That's able to play, ready to play, who's young, like Nick was saying, and just a guy that's dedicated to playing for his team. So I think it's really exciting to see how he does, and maybe he's just a guy for next year primarily. Maybe we might not see him in the playoff rotation, but if we do, great. Let's see how he does. But I think he's an exciting person to have on the team.
I agree. He's youthful. He's full of energy. We saw it from Bones, over his course of being a Clipper. But having that, if he can buy into the whole, even if he doesn't play, buy into bring that energy off the bench and bring that youthful spirit and stuff like that. That it's contagious. And you saw it with Bones all season long when he wasn't getting minutes. He was hyping guys up off the bench and stuff like that. And if Kai can at least bring that for this playoff run, it only helps. And having a guy that fits that position of need in your back pocket, if need be, doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. But I would like to get into some playoff talk now.
Yes, sir.
Let's do it.
The Clippers, if Clipper Nation doesn't know by now, the Clippers will be playing the Dallas Mavericks in the first round. The third matchup in, what is it, 6 years? 5 years?
Yeah, 5, I think.
The first two series, the Clippers won, and this is the third matchup, second matchup of Kawhi and Luka, right? Third matchup?
It would be the third. Yeah,
third?
Kawhi's played in all 3 matchups.
Okay, yeah. So third matchup of Kawhi and Luka. Oh, the first one was in the bubble, right?
Yes.
Bubble, and then okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
So third matchup, Kawhi and Luka. From what we've seen, Kawhi and Luka usually cancel each other out in effectiveness on the court, and then it's kind of up to the remainder of the team to kind of win the series. Both series were 7 games, I believe. The first 2 series were 7 games. And, we've been hearing a lot of shit talk. We've been hearing a lot of discussions, and, a lot of people have been, mentioning and calling out that the Dallas Mavericks have it in the bag, that they're so motivated. They've been playing so well. I mean, they got Kyrie, they got new pieces.
Mm-hmm.
Luka is a MVP caliber player, but us on the Clippers side think differently. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, honestly, it's not even about, obviously the Mavericks
chicken. You know what I'm saying?
the Mavericks have been playing really, really well to end. They've probably been one of the best teams the second half of the season.
Right.
So I understand why a lot of people have them at the very least giving a competitive series, if not winning the series. What's been
It'll be
pissing me
competitive.
off, what's been pissing me off is this rewriting of history that we've seen from some people in NBA media going on television. Steve Smith went on live television on NBA TV or whatever it was, and was convinced that Luka Doncic won the series in 2020 in the bubble. That never happened. Luka Doncic has never beat the Clippers in his entire career in the playoffs. And people seem to think, I was actually talking to somebody at work today that believed that Luka Doncic has never lost to the Clippers in the playoffs. He thought we were 0-2 against Luka Doncic, and I can't blame him because the media is convinced.
No, they actually are.
There's this Mandela effect that somehow the Mavericks have beat the Clippers in the playoffs when that never happened. It never happened, and it's the most bizarre thing, and it needs to end right fucking now because it pisses me off.
They don't give us a chance. They actually don't give us a chance.
No,
sorry,
I'm not gonna lie though. I actually thought we did lose. There was that series we did watch.
Fake fan.
No. We did watch that game live. We did lose to the Mavericks, and then we were talking about it, and I remember talking to you, Nick, and I was like, I thought we lost a series against them, and you were like, no.
It was because the games that we lost were in like
terrible.
They were in heartbreaking fashion, right? In the bubble, Luka hits the game winner.
Yeah.
Game winner at the buzzer, deep three. And then, the second matchup it went to 7. We went down
the first 2.
Rolla and I and Connor, were you there? Yeah, you were there.
I think so.
At the game.
We were raging.
We were at game 2. We were at game 2 in LA.
Oh my god, dude.
And there was a Laker fan there that was wearing a LeBron jersey.
Oh.
Which I don't understand why he's even there. And he was talking smack. And we were about to get into it, and then Rolla was so heated that Rolla's brain chemistry changes, and Rolla is talking to the fans sitting next to us. It's over. It's over.
I was talking to other Clipper fans. Bro.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. You were talking to other Clipper fans. You're like, it's over.
Clippers,
we got to trade everybody. We got to trade everybody.
That second loss was brutal, bro.
It was brutal. I wasn't worried. And
yes, you were, dude. Yes, you were, bro.
No, I told you.
You were worried, dude.
I told you, Connor. You were there, bro.
Worried, bro.
I was worried, but I didn't think we were going to lose this series, and I told you that.
Oh my god, dude.
Connor, you have to back me up.
I was like, we lost 2 home games, bro. We're screwed.
It was a pretty sad.
But can you back me up on this, Connor? Because you are the only witness that's here.
I was like, dude,
you were more hopeful, but you were definitely.
I was dejected, but I never said we were going to lose a series.
Bro,
I said we're going to be fine.
The Clipper fan I was talking to was like, he's like, Kawhi's not the guy I've been trying to tell him.
Yeah, you guys were feeding off of each other.
And I was like, maybe he is the guy, bro. We lost 2 home games to this team, bro.
It was so funny because in the moment, I literally saw Rolla's brain click into Rolla was, he was still engaged in the game, and then the game started getting away, and the guy next to Rolla starts talking smack and like just losing hope, like we got to trade everybody, and I just see Rolla flip a switch, turn over to this guy. He's like, you know what? Like maybe we do trade everybody.
No, but if you think about it, because I was thinking like 2 home games. If we lose one, like we have to win 2 away games. If we lose one, it's a 3-1 series, and what are the odds we win the series?
No, it was tough. I was
like, bro, we're fucked, dude. Like we're screwed.
I was upset for sure.
Yeah, bro.
But basically, bottom line is the series were close, right? I think we finished the first one in the bubble in 5 or 6. The other one goes to 7. They're emotionally draining series. Luka is an all-time generational talent. Yeah. He's got Kyrie Irving now. It's gonna be tough.
Yeah.
The bubble one, Luka got injured. I think that's because people kept saying like, "Oh, if Luka hadn't gotten injured, you guys would have lost."
We would have won that one either way.
No, I know, but I think that's where the Mandela effect is coming from. And also, I was watching First Take the other day. Me and Nick had a conversation on Tuesday, just like chatting up about the Clippers,
as we tend to do.
And that's when you talked about how it almost seems like people are brainwashed. The other day, I was listening to First Take, and they had a guest on, and he wasn't a Clipper fan, he wasn't like a Laker fan or whoever. He's just a guy talking about sports, and he was talking about he's like, oh, if the Lakers win, if they somehow beat the Nuggets. Oh, but then they would have to go up against the Mavs next. Like he just completely wrote off the Clippers.
Yeah.
He's like, then they'd have to go off against Luka and the Mavs next, and I was like,
Mm.
What makes people think that the Mavs are so much better than the Clippers?
It's
It doesn't make
unreal,
any
dude.
sense
Yeah, I
to
don't
me.
know. I mean, they've been below us on the table for like
When was the last
70% of
time
the
we
season,
played
right, or
them?
something.
For
I don't
sure.
even.
No, they had a great end of the season, but prior to that, they were down in the
Yeah.
dumps.
A little bit.
And that was when the Clippers were losing too, so it kind of balanced itself out, and that's why we
Mhm.
see what we see. But yeah, I mean, I'm seeing graphics that say like it was this big graphic of James Harden like looking shocked, and it said Clippers in tiny font. It said Clippers are betting favorites or something like that to be, and then in giant font it said eliminated
Eliminated. Yeah.
in the first round in tiny font. I've never seen prior to a series even starting. I've never seen an eliminated graphic. I don't know why I said that way. Eliminated graphic.
Mhm.
It's crazy, and it makes me. That's the thing that I'm worried about the most going into this series is like this media narrative. Uh, I think Luka and Jokic are Adam Silver's like golden boys. So I wouldn't be surprised if we're gonna have to play against the refs in a couple of these games throughout the series.
I'm
Obviously, we
not
can get
I'm
it
not tripping
done,
on the refs. I
but
think
I
I,
just
I
hate that. I'm
No,
not even
yeah
gonna go into it.
that is
no
pretty crazy to already say before it's even started that we're gonna get kicked out. Like that's
that's
just
why
ridiculous.
I think we have to win game one, dude. I
Yeah.
think we have to
Yeah.
win game one. We have to change the narrative. We have to. I think our team is going to be very motivated. This is almost like giving us motivation because, like I said when I was talking to Nick the other day, the Mavs are motivated because even if your average person doesn't realize that the Mavs have lost two series against us, I promise you, Luka knows that he's lost two
Oh
series against
yeah,
us. You know what
dude.
I mean? So
Oh yeah,
he's very very motivated,
yeah.
and I don't think that we have necessarily that level of motivation against the Mavs.
Mm.
So maybe this is what lights a fire under us. I think what everyone is super afraid of is the Kawhi health
Yeah.
story. We
Let's
haven't
get
gotten
into that.
much
Yeah.
word
Let's talk
about
about it.
that,
Mm.
and I think maybe that's why people are kind of writing off the Clippers is because they haven't seen Kawhi in a long time, and if he is not 100% or not at least 90%, it's going to be a tough series.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because then we have to hang our heads on Paul George, which it's a little bit of a gamble. I hate
And
to
I will
say
say,
it.
Paul George has been a really good playoff performer in his time with the Clippers. He's had obviously the bubble. Him and Kawhi were both horrible in that series against the Mavericks. But generally speaking, I mean, this dude took us to the conference finals for the first time in franchise history. Like he's been good. But yeah, there's a couple of little tidbits that I want to point out about Kawhi's health. Law Murray tweeted out, Clippers reporter tweeted out that he was interviewing Lawrence Frank today, Clippers GM, and someone's going to need to silence that
My
phone.
bad.
Excuse me.
Might
Uh,
be.
Lawrence Frank was saying that Kawhi received an injection in his knee, I think a week ago, to just reduce.
Jesus.
Someone's trying to get hold of Rolla.
My bad. My
It's
bad.
Kawhi. It's Kawhi trying to tell, yo, I'm good.
Kawhi's like-
I'm good.
He's like, I heard y'all talking shit.
No. Lawrence Frank said that Kawhi did receive an injection in his knee for some inflammation. So apparently he hasn't done any contact work, according to him. According to Lawrence Frank, that's what he said. He's been watching film. He's listed as questionable for Game One. Ty Lue did say that Kawhi has participated in about a quarter of practice earlier today. So there's kind of contradicting reports there. I don't know what the truth is. And then Joey Lynn, another great Clippers follow, tweeted out. Ty Lue said that there's a conversation. There's a conversation with his players today about the level of buy-in needed for the playoffs. And this is what Ty Lue said, according to Joey Lynn. He said there was a talk today. Just because you started today, you might not start tomorrow. We got to be all in, whether you're playing 12 minutes, 12 seconds, whatever it is. Playoffs is a different season. Our guys are locked into that. So it sounds like, regardless of what Kawhi's status is, everybody's kind of on the same page or should be on the same page in terms of, sacrificing here and there. Sometimes, I wouldn't be surprised if Russ started a game or
Mhm.
if we went small a lot of the time and Zoo sits on the bench and we go with PJ Tucker at the 5 or Amir at the 5 or something like that. So it's going to be interesting to see. I don't know if we're going to know what iteration of this Clipper team we will see in Game 1 until about an hour before. My guess, I'm not trying to jinx anything, but my guess is that Kawhi Leonard plays in Game 1. I've heard chatter that there's not really anything to worry about per se. There's been some inflammation over the last week, but in terms of, and Lawrence Frank even confirmed it, there's no structural damage. It's just a matter of mitigating this swelling, and that is something that's kind of happened over the course of the last couple of weeks. So it's kind of like a new development, and that is why he got the injection. But overall, I would be, I'm not going to say surprised, but I'm assuming that Kawhi Leonard is going to play in Game 1. That's just my assumption based on what
Yeah.
I've heard and based on how important this season is and the fact that there is no structural damage to Kawhi's knee. So one thing I want to ask you guys is, I'm going to play devil's advocate here. If Kawhi Leonard isn't available, what do you think our starting lineup looks like? What do you think that means in terms of matchups?
If he isn't available for the entire series?
No. He'll be available for the series. I'm 99.9% sure of that. But I'm saying for Game 1.
I think.
I feel like we're starting Amir.
That's what I was gonna say, but Rolla, what do you think?
I think if Kawhi doesn't play Game 1, I think we're screwed.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
You might need to take a shot for that one.
No, I'm not taking shit. I think we're screwed because we have to account for Ty Lue not making adjustments in time. We have to account for Paul George potentially.
Elaborate a little bit on that, Rolla. Elaborate a little bit on that, what you just said.
Well, I mean, we were all at that fucking Game 2 in the second series we played against the Mavs.
Talk about it.
Ty Lue went 2 straight games and didn't make a single adjustment, and that's why we lost 2 games, and then decided to finally make an adjustment in Game 3, and that's why we won Game 3 and Game 4. Shockingly.
Well,
so
well, if the words that Nick was saying was true, that quote that he shared, then he is going to do a lot of lineup changes, right? And a lot of different rotations.
Well, no, that's a good point.
I mean, that's I feel like that's not how Ty Lue rolls, though.
But maybe
I think Ty Lue, and I mean we've seen it. I mean we've seen it with the Clippers and we've seen it with the Cleveland Cavaliers. He coached the team that came back 3-1, or that came back from being down 3-1. He takes his time to make the adjustments. I mean, if we lose, we lose, and that's kind of been my biggest indictment on him is what was it? The year Kawhi got injured against, what was it, the Jazz? I think that we put too many miles on Kawhi's legs playing extra games that we didn't need to play, because I don't think Ty Lue made the correct adjustments timely, and he's playing extra games, putting more miles on his legs. The playoff games are way more intense than regular season games. Yeah. And so I think that if we just give away, basically, if we don't have Kawhi Game 1, I'm pretty sure we're going to lose Game 1. I mean, it doesn't really matter the lineup we put out there. I think the Mavs are so good right now, and they're really flowing with each other right now. I don't think that Paul George and James Harden can take care of the Mavs currently without Kawhi. But, I just think that it'll be tough to put Kawhi back in Game 2. Kawhi isn't 100%. He's still got to warm up in the game. And then that's where Ty Lue starts off from, making his adjustments. He might see it as a warm-up game. Oh, let's see how Kawhi's doing. And then if we lose Game 2, then we're in the same position we were in that's the other series before. And it might not go our way this time. I mean, they have Kyrie now. Yeah. So that's the thing. I think it's going to be a difficult series either way. I think Kawhi has to play. He definitely has to play Game 1. But like you said, from what I've seen, also it looks like Kawhi will be playing Game 1. Even if we lose Game 1, I think that getting Kawhi into playoff form
that's a good point,
is probably the best case scenario for us, because he hasn't played in a couple weeks, so he's not he's not in playoff. He's not playoff level right now. He's probably 70% if he plays Game 1. So I think the quicker we ramp up Kawhi, the better.
Yeah, I think if he has enough time to practice, like multiple days and enough days, like especially after the injection, and like he feels good, after it all, and has enough time to actually like practice and get to form, then
But dude,
we see him Game 1. But
Game 1 is on Sunday, and he wasn't even playing 5-on-5s the other day.
Yeah, he
Or
wasn't
not the
taking
end.
contact.
Yeah.
I will say, I think if there's one guy that you can just plug in, particularly in the playoffs, it is Kawhi. And I think that it's a double edged sword because, we've seen it. You kind of, I mean, obviously anything can happen, but it seems like the two best chances that this 2-1-3 era has had of winning were years that Kawhi got hurt. And when that happens, you're throwing your hands up. You're like, well, dude, why us? Why us? But at some point, you really have to err on the side of caution in terms of this man's health, because when he's healthy, everything changes. Um, and
But
so,
was he not healthy last year?
no, he tore his ACL in game two
Exactly.
or
So
whatever.
I'm saying it doesn't really matter. It's kind of just like up in the air whether he goes in healthy or he goes in 70%. You know,
But there's
I
things you
mean,
can do to mitigate the
yeah,
chances of injury,
you're right.
especially because it is on the knee that he's had surgeries on.
Right.
Yeah.
And one thing that I will say is Dime Dropper, give him a follow on Twitter, great Clipper Twitter user, been a fan for a long time, but he tweeted out, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, whoever's listening to this, let me know in the comments, but I think he mentioned that James Harden has been to the playoffs every year since he's been like a rookie or something, and he hasn't lost a first round series since 2015.
Wow.
So James Harden tends to do really well in first round series.
Mhm.
If on the off chance that Kawhi Leonard is not ready to go, obviously I think number one option needs to be Paul George, because the Mavericks literally don't have anybody that can guard Paul George,
Uh huh.
just based on
Mhm.
size. But I
Yeah.
think having James Harden locked in as a second option is great. And if he plays even close to the way that he played in those 40-point games that he had with Philly literally last year in the playoffs, obviously we can talk about his stinkers, but everybody has stinkers in the playoffs, for the most
But
part.
James Harden has stinkers every year, bro.
I know,
Like literally
but
every year of his career.
from what I've seen and from what Dime said, he does really well in first round series.
Yeah.
And um, if we manage to get past the Mavericks, we would go on to play the Thunder. I like our chances against the Thunder more than I do the Mavericks, personally. Um, and so I think that getting this series out of the way, James Harden can have a stinker or two against the Thunder, especially if Kawhi Leonard's back.
Ooh, I don't think so,
Obviously, we
dude.
don't want that,
Yeah.
but then that kind of goes into what Ty Lue was saying too. Like if someone's having a bad game, it seems like Ty Lue is ready to pull somebody and put
Yeah.
somebody
Mm-hmm.
else in that's going to contribute. And Russ, we lost the series last year against the
Ooh.
Suns because we were down, but dude, Russ took over in that game one and made
Oh
the
yeah.
best defensive play I've seen in a long time in the playoffs from the Clippers. Blocks Devin Booker in crunch time, throws the ball off of him as he's falling out of bounds. We win the
Yep.
game.
Yep.
Mhm.
Russell Westbrook can really contribute in the playoffs, and he put the
He
team on
can.
his back. I think if the officials weren't so horrible in that game, whatever game four, when the Suns had 40 free throws to our 10 or whatever it was, we might have won another game because Russ
Yeah.
was playing so well. So it's something to look at. If James Harden's locked in, and he did mention in a press conference yesterday, I think he said we're locked in. He said something along the lines of like, what's the energy of this team going into the playoffs, and he just said we're locked in.
Mhm.
And I quite frankly I believe him. I think everybody on this team knows how important this is, not only for their careers but for the history of this franchise.
Mhm.
Um, and I'm ready. I'm ready for this. I'm confident in this team. Um, Real quickly, let's just touch on kind of some matchup talk, and then we'll get on out of here. But one thing that I wanted to touch on is just in terms of team composition. I think we can all agree that the Mavericks have gotten better offensively.
Yeah.
They added
Mhm.
PJ Washington, who's a good player. He is,
Mhm.
and he's switchable. He can hit the three. He can shoot the ball. And they got Daniel Gafford, who's been great for them.
Yeah.
Super high efficiency player, takes smart shots, doesn't miss hardly any.
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
a good rim protector, a little bit undersized. So they added some talent offensively. Obviously, they have Kyrie Irving, who is an all timer,
A champion.
a champion.
Yep.
So in terms of offense, they've gotten a lot better. The one side of the ball that the side of the ball that I'm looking at the most in this series is the defensive end, because obviously the Mavs are going to be able to give us hell offensively at times, but I truly don't know if the Mavericks have the personnel to be able to guard
Kawhi
25%
and
of
Paul
the
George.
even 25% of this team. I don't know if they have guys that can stay in front of James Harden if he's locked in.
Yeah.
If Zoo is able to, have effective stretches when he's out there and not get played off the field, and even if he does get played off the court, in the
Ugh.
minutes that he plays, he's a lot bigger and stronger than Daniel Gafford. Derek Lively's been dealing with some injuries. Obviously, Derek Lively is more center sized, but I think if Zoo can get some touches down low, he can. I don't think Gafford can stop Zoo either.
I
So
think we'll
straight
know.
up, at least.
We'll know. I think we'll know how this series is going to go after this first game.
You think after the
Yeah.
first one? I was gonna say
After the first
game
game.
3. I was gonna
No,
say.
game 1.
All right.
We'll know how many games. We'll know. I think the Clippers are going to win this series. I think it'll depend on whether it's in 6 or 7 games. I think we'll know after the first game. If Zoo plays that fourth quarter, dude, this is going to be a 7-game series. No doubt about it.
I
Because
think
everyone and their mothers knows Luka is going to hunt Zoo to the end of this fucking earth, bro.
Oh yeah.
Every time to end the game, and they're going to run the same play 10 times. I promise you.
But
And
here's
they're
the
going to get
thing.
that switch.
Here's the thing with that. Obviously, we can't let it get out of hand and let Luka take over games. But I think that the way that this Mavericks team is constructed, and it's a big part of how we've been able to win twice against them, is there comes a point where you are going. If Luka's on a heater, you're going to have to let him go off if it means that you're shutting everybody else down.
I don't think so.
I do.
I don't think we have to.
I don't. Well, okay.
I think by putting Zoo on that court, I think we're just giving it to him. I think
Obviously guard him.
If we have, well, that's the thing. I don't think Zoo can guard him.
But I don't think Kawhi can guard him if he's locked in
But
offensively.
I do think Kawhi can. I think Kawhi being on him is giving him a harder time than Zoo. Zoo being on him is basically an open shot. Kawhi on him, at least Kawhi has length. He has the quickness. He's still a top tier defender. I mean, it's not like he's a cone. You know what I mean?
No, for sure. I just think that Zoo. First of all, I think that we need Zoo in this. I don't think it's as cut and dry as okay. Zoo just got to sit on the bench this one, and we're gonna get the most out of our small ball lineups because whether we think so or not, we don't have the luxury of having as cohesive of a small ball lineup as we did in years past. Nico Batum was a godsend for us because we were able to play small and he can hit the three and he can guard the 5, without skipping a beat. We don't have that depth at the forward spot anymore. The way that we did. Obviously we still have Amir, we still have PJ Tucker, but those guys I don't think can provide you the same level of defense that Nick Batum can. Amir can hit that 3 and he's a good enough defender. Yeah. I think Amir is going to be counted on pretty heavily in this series, particularly.
He will be.
But at the end of the day, we had guys at our disposal. We had Nico Batum. We had, say what you want about Marcus Morris. He, at that point in time, he was still effective and we were still able to use him at the 5. We don't really have that luxury anymore. So I think that we really need to count on Zoo. And I think in the minutes that Zoo plays, I think we need to get him involved because I don't know if anybody can guard him down low. I don't know if Gafford.
I agree.
Gafford's a really good help defender, particularly like if a small guy's coming to the hoop, Gafford's going to block that shit. Yeah. But if Zoo has position and he's able to back Gafford down, I don't know if Gafford is tall enough to be able to guard him. Whether or not Derek Lively is able to play, that's a whole different ballgame because Derek Lively is a 7-footer. He can jump. He's super athletic. I think he can hang with Zoo a little bit more. But if Lively isn't ready, I think that while Zoo's in the game, we need to make sure that he dominates in his minutes. That's just what I think.
Yeah, I could see that. I just think that I just think that the team's skill levels are so close. I think it's going to come down to the fourth quarter. I think it's going to come down to a couple key plays. And I
Yeah.
think if Zoo's on the court during those couple key plays, I think we're going to lose the game. Period.
Damn.
And I
Yeah,
think if we see that on Sunday, I think it'll tell everyone that all we need to know. And then if you see it again on game 2, then we hit that rage level again. You know what I
I
mean?
will say I'm a little pissed that we're getting a noon game, first game of the
Yeah,
playoffs.
it's kind of
Um,
lame.
that kind of pisses me off, but that's neither here nor there. If we want to win a championship, we got to be able to take a win at 4 a.m. if need
Facts.
be. Like,
Yep.
but yeah, I mean, Connor, what do you think before I give a closing
Just in
statement
terms
on
of the
this?
series as a whole, like what to
Yeah, just
expect, or
give me your 2 cents.
I mean, I agree with Rolla in a lot of ways. I think, the series that we watched, definitely in person, Luka just destroyed Zoo. And that was pretty heartbreaking to watch, especially with the same play that they were doing over and over again. But we've both teams have grown a lot since then, with the additions to
True.
both of our teams. So I think it's going to be it could even be a completely different series, and things are going to happen that we might not expect. So, I think maybe after 3 games, that's my take, is that we're really going to see who's going to take it. Maybe not as
I'm with you.
drastic,
I'm with you on that one,
maybe
Connor.
not as drastic as just after 1 game.
It's gonna
I'm
be
with
one
you on
game.
that. I'm with
Because
you on
anything
that.
could happen, dude. Someone could get injured, and then that's already after
That's
one
true.
game. Then or 2 games. Then that's the whole end of the series, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Knock on wood. But yeah, no, I'm excited for it. I think it's going to be really tough, and then if we're able to get through, I think that clears a very solid path for us to get to the very top, even though it's still going to be really tough in the West. So I don't
Yeah.
know. If we could do it against the Mavs right off the bat and, smack down Daddy Luka, then, we could do a lot more than that. Even
Yeah, no,
down the line.
that's a very good point. I think that it's obviously a very tough matchup, particularly for the first round. But I think that winning against this Mavericks team with the narrative and just the level of competition that we're going to see, I think it bodes well for a deeper playoff run for this Clipper team. It's a great way to kind of sharpen the tools that we have at our disposal and get a
Mm-hmm.
team ready that has had trouble manifesting motivation and manifesting that fire at times throughout the season. So I think that this would be a great way to do that. Wake everybody up. And obviously, the biggest thing is just keep everybody healthy, because that has unfortunately been a thorn in the Clippers' side for a long time. Not just the 2-1-3 era, but throughout the Clipper history, it's
Uh-huh.
always been the injuries for the most part. And so, if we can stay healthy, I like our chances. Yeah. Did you guys have any? Did you guys have any hot takes? We won't be taking shots today, but did we have any hot takes, or what do we got?
Now let's take a break and come back with some hot takes.
Okay. All right. We will be taking a quick break, Clipper Nation, and we will be right back to close this one out with Hot Take, Shot Take.
All right, Clipper Nation, we are back for Hot Take, Shot Take. I'm going to start us off and just admit an unfortunate truth about one of my previous hot takes. That's probably not really going to come true at all.
You have one that's probably going to come true, though.
What, Thunder
Which
going
one?
far?
No, you said that Shea was going to be MVP.
Oh,
That's
I
not coming
did.
true.
I did say that.
That's not going to come true.
All right. Well, that remains to be seen.
Okay.
But I did have one. It was that the Miami Heat were going to go to the conference finals. And
Oh, yeah. Fuck no.
yeah, seeing Jimmy go down in the playing game that they lost.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
That was really unfortunate. So my heart goes out to the Heat fans. Let's see what you guys can do. But yeah, it's not really looking that likely. I'll take the L on my claim there. But they could possibly beat the Bulls, but they're not going to win against the Celtics.
No, they lost to the Bulls.
Oh, they did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they will be playing the Heat will be playing. Oh wait, no.
No, they played the Bulls. I thought
They play the Bulls. It
You're
was
right.
Heat. It was,
I'm fucking
Hawks,
stupid.
Bulls. Yeah.
Yeah,
Hawks,
they
Bulls, Heat.
yeah. So they lost to who the hell did they
Sixers.
lose to?
The
The
Sixers.
Sixers.
Yeah.
So the Sixers are in the 7th seed.
Yeah.
yeah.
And okay, you're right. You're right.
Okay,
Oh,
but yeah,
Sorry.
I mean, so
I take back everything.
that's going to be a close game. It could be even without Jimmy buckets, I think. But yeah, I think it's going to be a really tough road for the Heat. So yeah, that's my hot take. As a that's a resolution for my hot take, I guess.
Yeah. Roll, let's hear it.
all right. So I have two hot takes now.
Okay.
Newfound hot take, actually.
Okay.
I'll go with my less controversial one first.
Wow.
I think the Sixers beat the Knicks in the first round, and I think this is a Tyrese
And how
Maxey
many?
coming out party.
Okay, I like that. How many games?
7 games.
Seven?
Seven. Yeah.
I have a similar one.
I think
you're
Tyrese
done.
Maxey gets. I think they give him the keys in this series.
Okay.
And
I mean,
ultimately-
Joel's back too, so he can
I know.
help.
Yeah.
No, but I think Tyrese Maxey gets the keys. I think he's going to be the number one option. I think this is going to be this is going to start the exit of Joel Embiid.
Interesting. I mean, that series is going to be fun. Jalen Brunson's been playing well. You know, Julius Randle hasn't been with the team in a while. He's been kind of carrying the team. OG Anunoby's back, so their defense has gotten better. They're the second seed in the East. You know, they've been playing well, so that's going to be a fun matchup. Jalen Brunson against Tyrese Maxey. I don't hate that. I don't hate that hot take.
It's a good. It's not too piping hot. It's not
Yeah,
controversial.
I got you. Well, let's hear the piping hot one. Put on your oven mitts for this one.
And the second one is, drum roll please. The Lakers beat the Nuggets in 7 games. Let it marinate. I think you know, there was a lot of shit talk from the Nuggets. I think the Lakers are going to come out angry. LeBron James is the GOAT. And you know, that's all you need to know. I mean, LeBron has the experience. They have won a chip, same way the Nuggets have won a chip, and I think that the Nuggets aren't ready for what the Lakers are going to bring.
Wow. Okay. I disagree, but I commend it. Yeah. So that is a piping hot take. So my hot takes, my first one, I have two. My first one is similar to Rola's first hot take. And there's a little bit of bias here because there's an individual associated with this team that I have no faith in whatsoever. And maybe it is a little bit more piping hot than Rola's take, but you know, it's a lesser of the two takes nonetheless. My first hot take is that the Indiana Pacers will beat the Milwaukee Bucks in 6 games.
Whoa!
They won't even go to 7.
It's on brand.
Remember, the Milwaukee Bucks may be without Giannis.
Yeah.
He's hurt.
Right.
I saw that, yeah.
He's hurt. Also, the Bucks are coached by Glenn Rivers. So do with that what you will.
Oh yeah, I mean, they weren't going to the finals anyways.
Yeah. So that's my first one. My second one is that this one's Clipper related.
Okay.
I'm not going to give a final score. I'm not going to even give a game outcome. But what I will say is that Paul George will have at least 35 points in game 1 of this Mavs-Clippers series.
Wow.
At least 35.
I need 40, bro.
He will have, that's what I said, at least. He might have 50. But at the very least, he will have 35 points.
I could definitely see that because he is going to eat against Luka and Kyrie.
Well, if he hunts specifically Kyrie, you know, obviously you have help defense in Gafford, and you know, Derrick Jones Jr. has been a good. Derrick Jones Jr. has been a good help defender in stretches too. So they have the help defense, but if the help doesn't come quick enough and they leave Kyrie on an island, if they leave Kyrie on Paul George Island,
it's barbecue chicken.
This PG-13 might be rated R.
He's grilling, bro. He's about to start grilling,
dude. So that's my hot take. Yeah, so I would love to see it. Real quick, with the last couple minutes that we have, guys, what is the matchup outside of the Clippers-Mavericks matchup that you guys are looking forward to the most?
I think the number one matchup I'm looking forward to is the Suns and the
Give me a couple.
Timberwolves.
Give me a couple. Yeah. Oh, the
Suns,
Suns, Timberwolves.
Timberwolves,
Okay.
Just off the first
and
round.
Knicks Sixers. Yeah, first round.
Okay. Honestly, the Cavs and Magic. I think that
That's
might
going to be a fun one.
Yeah, that could be
Because I
pretty
think both of
exciting.
those teams, particularly the Magic have been slept on this season. They have a squad.
Mhm.
Paolo Banchero he's that guy.
Yeah.
And,
But
they
it'll be his
have,
first playoffs,
I
right?
know, but I mean, I think that they have enough top end talent, even though it's young talent. Their team just makes sense. Jalen Suggs is playing his ass off this season. He's always been a good
Right.
defender, but his offense is really coming around. Franz Wagner is as good of a young number two as maybe Jalen Williams is in OKC. Um, he's very good. They have the pieces. Wendell Carter, Markel Fultz. His health is always in question, but he can play. They have pieces. Jonathan Isaac. Say what you want about him personally. I'm not a huge fan, but that dude is one of the better young defenders in the league.
Yeah.
He's locking fools down. So they have a team, and then obviously we know what we get with the Cavs. They have that top end offensive firepower in Garland and Mitchell, and then they have a really good front court too with Mobley and Jared Allen. So that's going to be a fun series. I agree, Connor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well,
Do you have any other ones that you're looking forward to, Connor?
I mean, you guys have already said them, but
Okay.
yeah, I mean, the Knicks and the Sixers one is going to be pretty exciting.
Yeah, that's gonna be a really good.
That one will be fun. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say the Suns are going to get destroyed by the Timberwolves.
I would imagine so.
Really?
The Suns to me are a team. They
But
remind
Devin
me.
Booker last year in the first round.
I know, bro, but the Suns
pretty
mentally, chemistry wise, they remind me a lot of the last iteration of Lob City.
Yeah, I
in
can
the
see
sense that it's like it seems like the writing's on the wall. Nobody's getting along. Like we're like we should be better, but and maybe they prove me wrong. They have the talent. Obviously, KD, Beal,
Yeah.
and Booker is nothing to scoff at. But it just seems like they're not communicating. Their depth is not as good as maybe everybody thought it was coming into the season. The series that I'm looking at, obviously the Lakers Nuggets. That one's going to be fun just because there's the narrative behind that, and I think the Lakers are going to play hard. I personally think that it's going to be over in 5. I think the Nuggets are going to win it in 5. If they met each other in the second round when the Nuggets were a little beat up, I might have a little more faith in the Lakers. But yeah, I don't know. I think with home court advantage in a first round series, I don't really believe the Lakers can get it done this season. But one matchup that I think a lot of people are overlooking, in theory, this is just so obviously there's still another playing game in each conference. But if the Kings can squeak out a win against the Pelicans, which they should because Zion Williamson is hurt. Also, real quick, a lot of injuries in these playoff games. Zion, Jimmy Butler, Alex Caruso, all questionable or out.
Yeah.
But yeah, if the Kings can squeak by, I know that they don't have Monk, and I know they don't have Herter for the season.
Yeah,
Monk might be back later in the playoffs. I don't know. But if they can squeak out a win against the Pelicans, make the 8th seed, and take on the Thunder, I really like that series. Two young teams. I think that the Thunder this year remind me a lot of the Kings. They're very similar, and I think that the Thunder this year remind me a lot of the Kings last year. Obviously, they're a little bit better. They have a better record. Obviously, they're number 1 in the West. But in terms of just like, this team like overachieved exponentially.
Yeah.
Like their young guys are stepping up. De'Aaron Fox was a world beater last year. He was one clutch player of the year, was closing out games left and right. Obviously, DeMontis Sabonis is great. Keegan Murray's really stepping into it, his role. They have pieces. Keon Ellis looked fantastic in that first playing game against the Warriors. So they have pieces. They have the veteran championship, experience in Harrison Barnes. I would love to see that matchup just because that's two teams that have really missed the playoffs. Aside from the Kings last year, have really missed the playoffs for a big stretch recently, and their fans are going to be hungry. The teams, all the players are going to be hungry. I would be really, really excited to watch that one, not just because of just those two teams themselves, but if the Clippers can make it past the Mavs, whoever wins that series will be playing the Clippers. So that is the series that I'm going to be looking at very closely. Not too closely because we got to handle business against the Mavs, but that's one of my favorite ones to look out for. But yeah, guys, very excited about what's around the corner. It's crazy that we've gotten to this point. We limped through the finish line, finished as a fourth seed. Obviously, we would have liked a higher seed, but fourth seed ain't bad as long as we have home court advantage. And the Clippers are in the playoffs again and have the chance to do something really special. The narrative would be perfect, dude. Leaving Staples Center, going into it. Clippers make this, miraculous run for the championship. I'm getting ahead of myself here.
Yeah, let's get through the first round.
Yeah,
Clipper Nation, Clipper Nation. For those of you that are going to the game, we need the energy. We need you to represent. Need you to be loud, like you always do. And those of you that can't go to the game, send your love, send your best wishes, pray for health, all of that, because the Clippers can use all of it. So thank you guys so much for listening to this episode of the Clip Service Podcast. We really appreciate it. Get at us on Twitter and on Instagram at Clip Service Pod, and you can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Music, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, of course, YouTube. Let us know what you guys think of these of the playoff landscape as we know it as of right now. Give us your predictions on what this Clipper Mavericks series is going to be, who you think is going to win, who the top performers are going to be. Give us all your hot takes because we don't want it to just be from our side. But yeah, thank you guys so much. Rally behind the troops. Let's get this win on Sunday. And as always, guys, let's go Clips.
Let's go Clips.
Connor.
Oh, okay. Let's go Clips, baby.
Yeah, baby.